Rising rent and a severe shortage of affordable housing are the hallmarks of our looming eviction crisis, a situation that highlights the plight of some of the Valley's most vulnerable citizens.
13 Chief Investigator Darcy Spears has been working with families living in poverty who feel forgotten and in one case are literally falling through the cracks.
My apartment, my wife, everything. You have made an unsafe living condition.
You need to step away before you get in trouble.
Tensions couldn't get any higher for the families living in these apartments on 10th and 11th Streets.
So I said this building supposedly no one should be there. That's the reason we should turn off the water.
Turning off the water is one tactic landlord Frank MIAO has used to get rid of tenant Charles Moorehead.
Like I'm an animal, you know?
Who lives in this 11th Street building with his disabled, bedridden wife.
She has a rare brain disease that causes her joints to lock up. She's lost the use of her hands. I have to roll her, feed her, change her. I do everything for her.
When 13 Investigates intervened, the Water District agreed that Frank couldn't deprive his tenants of water and turned it back on. But that's just one in a series of disputes that have escalated to a boiling point between multiple tenants and their
slumlord, to put it nicely.
Landlord.
He's a slumlord. He is. He really is a slumlord. He doesn't take care of things.
Tenants we spoke to in 5 different units say Frank demands they pay rent in cash and doesn't give receipts.
It was during the pandemic. We took what we could get. I didn't realize the apartment had as many problems as it did.
Charles took in roommate Mitchell Bowers to help pay the $950 a month rent for this 2-bedroom apartment.
$950 a month to live in what your neighbors are describing as a slum.
Yes, and my electric bill, just in this last 30 days, went from $98 to $396. If we take this plywood off, there's plywood on the other side. It's just an open window. This is plexiglass, not sealed. My door, if I don't lock my top deadbolt, my door can just go back open.
Those are just some of the issues they've been dealing with since moving here in November 2020.
The first month of us living here, my roommate fell through the 2nd floor into the neighbor's apartment downstairs. The floor in this bedroom where I had my wife was stinking.
This was empty space that I had fallen through. It was missing a board for the better part of 2 weeks?
No, 2 months, yeah, because we were waiting on him to bring them.
Those repairs have to be made, in good faith.
HEIDI FOREMAN-TONEY is a tenants' rights counselor with Nevada Legal Services.
There are code enforcement, other extreme situations where a property has gotten so far in disrepair that the government has to step in and sort of compel that landlord.
Charles did call code enforcement to force a fix. When they came, he recorded it on his cell phone.
My hot water heater, it's leaking. Oh, it's really gross.
The floor in Charles's apartment failed due to a water leak they didn't know they had from a 20-year-old water heater.
And he needs a new water here below too, with permit. So
None of us have it.
We don't put a water heater in without pulling a permit.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't say you did, but I know the gentleman you're dealing with does. So.
Okay, yes.
Frank MIAO is no stranger to code enforcement officers. From 2017 through May of this year, multiple units in 6 apartment buildings he owns have been repeatedly cited by the city. Violations include unsafe plumbing, general dilapidation and lack of sanitation, sewage leaks, hazardous plumbing, electrical and floors, plexiglass windows, inadequate exit, pest infestation, and lack of smoke alarms, just to name a few. Charles's unit was red tagged because of the damage caused by the water heater.
We're not kicking you out. We're notifying the owner he has to fix it now.
But what if he doesn't? He's been sending all the contractors away.
Hey Charles, these guys are here. They're going to start the work now, so that's a good thing. As soon as that's put in, the leak stops, then that comes off.
Frank says he's been fined more than $30,000 for code violations.
All this drama with you guys, it's legitimate. I get it. That's not the city's role here. The city's role is to get the building repaired.
The city's, yes.
Okay, we're getting it repaired.
But the city's role is also to get the building repaired, to make hold the landlords, slumlords like him accountable so they don't keep renting these places like this.
Watch as code enforcement confronts Frank about the ceiling Mitch fell through.
You created this
refused to pay them.
Are you talking about the window?
He tells her they have to move out in order for him to make repairs.
You can't just tell them to leave. You need to rehouse them in a budget suite, something together close by.
Several days later, we watched as the family packed their belongings into trash bags, stuffed it all into an old SUV, and drove away for good, leaving Charles's as the only inhabited unit in an otherwise boarded-up building.
You get your contractor and then they'll make the water damage repairs as well, right? So why are you arguing with me?
Frank argued his points with us, too, when he agreed to meet for an interview at another building he owns on Maryland Parkway.
Mostly it's the people, they come to my property. They want me to give him help so they can have a place to stay. So I let them stay, end up with I got a big trouble because they destroy my property. And because that property is uninhabitable, then I want them to live. They don't live.
HEIDI FOREMAN-TONEY says options are few for low-income families like those who live in Frank's buildings.
They may have come to the home even knowing, that it was in disrepair, but they had to just get a roof over their heads for themselves and for their family members, and it is really tragic.
This story runs much deeper, with an arrest, stolen guns, missing documents, and tenants battling rats, roaches, and electrical fires, all while Frank buys and sells properties across the country. We've got details on all that, plus we follow a case through eviction court as my investigation continues tomorrow on Good Morning Las Vegas. Darcy Spears, 13 Investigates.